what I'm trying to explain to you is that so Jesus was a Jew. So like part of the Jewish culture at the time was to sacrifice animals for your forgiveness of sins. That's part of their religion.
I got it.
That was part of their religion. So yeah, Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how strongly he would buy into that falseness. Yeah, let's kill animals because our sins.
Yeah, but you're trying to separate Jesus from like who he actually is. Like you're trying to make him into this like spiritual figure that's completely unattached from the Bible, but that's just not.
I found this conversation interesting because the gentleman on the bottom of the screen was trying to imply that Jesus was just born and thought and did everything as the adult Jesus that man has imagined. That Jesus was a vegetarian. It was part of the conversation at that immediate moment. He was trying to express how Jesus would not have been eating meat and eating animals. The other gentleman went into the fact that Jesus was a practicing Jew, and the Bible itself backs that up and says that he was a practicing Jew. It backs it up. If this Jesus character was a real character, and just for the sake of argument, we're going to go ahead and say that he was a real person, historical figure. According to this real person in Luke, in the version of Luke, it says that after Jesus was born, his parents went to the temple of Jerusalem and they paid the sacrifice, the 2 turtle doves for the birth of the child, so that the child and for Mary to be then considered clean. And then it says every year they made their pilgrimage to Jerusalem as customary with all Jews. Now, this may throw some people off, but let me break it down for you. So in the northern kingdom of Israel, in around 722, when they were conquered by the Assyrians, most of the smaller cities and cities around in northern Israel, around Jerusalem, were destroyed by the Assyrians, by Sennacherib. Now, Hezekiah's grandson, I believe, Jehoiakim, then reorganized Christianity in the way that Hezekiah was attempting to do it. Reorganized Judaism in centering the practice and worship of Judaism in Jerusalem. You see, before that, during Joshua and Moses, then Levites were sent out to each town to establish the different temples, and then you would just do your sacrifice of atonement, which is the annual one that you have to go to temple and bring your sacrifice of atonement. It was centered, the Levites was within every tribe. But once we had this northern tribe of Israel in 722, when Sennacherib conquered them, well, they couldn't go to the smaller cities. Only the temple in Jerusalem was left. So Hezekiah began the process of rearranging Judaism so that all the tribute comes to Jerusalem, the capital. And his son or grandson, Jehoiakim, he further established that. So by the time we get to Jesus, that's been the way to do things for almost 800 years, that everything was centralized in Jerusalem. So this is why Mary and Joseph, according to the Luke story, made a pilgrimage every year up until when he was 12. And then when he was 12, this is when he spoke in the temple. But every year they was making this pilgrimage. So even after 12, they were most likely still making this pilgrimage. So Jesus was still sacrificing animals until he started preaching at age 30. So Jesus would have been participating in the laws of Judaism because he grew up Jewish. He would have been practicing the Jewish thing. Plus, he said, according to this book, that he did not come to take one tittle from the law, that you are still supposed to uphold the law. That means keep sacrificing your animals. Sure, Christianity has said that he is the last sacrifice. He's the only sacrifice that's needed. This human sacrifice is so great and loving over the animal sacrifices that Jesus would have been doing. He was at the wedding in Siena making water into wine, just as a good Jewish boy would do when his mama tell him to do something about the dang fact that they ain't got no more wine. Do we read the emphasis gospel of Thomas, where Jesus makes birds out of clay and they come alive? It pushes a little boy off the top of a roof. The boy dies, and then Jesus miraculously saves him. You want to go there? But needless to say, Jesus was a practicing Jew, as demonstrated based on the Bible. But it's interesting how Christians like to try to remake Jesus into an image that is palatable to them. because to them, they can't see Jesus sacrificing animals because it is something that is so foreign and abhorrent to the Christian mind today. So if you think about it, Jesus, as with the rest of them, have always been adapted to whatever the morality and the culture is that's actually talking about them whenever they're doing it at whatever time frame. It just further indicates that if God was unchanging as he claims that he is, man wouldn't be able to change him. But God is changeable, because man made him. So y'all have a great day, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.